Welcome back to For Film's Sake. I'm Bryan, the wannabe Anthony Fantano of films, and today we're going to be talking about the recently released Smile, written and directed by Parker Finn. 2022 has definitely been a phenomenal year for horror, with plenty of great releases coming from the likes of A24 and big franchises like Hellraiser and Halloween Ends. Does Smile stand out as a memorable release, or does it fall flat? Let's find out. After witnessing a bizarre traumatic incident involving a patient, Dr. Rose Cotter starts experiencing frightening occurrences that she can't explain. Rose must confront her troubling past in order to survive and escape her horrifying new reality. If I'm being honest with you, Smile is a really frustrating film to talk about. I really like the premise and the presentation of the film, but it's got very little legs for it to stand on itself. With a hook similar to It Follows or The Ring, the operating element of the horror is a curse that feeds on trauma and attaches itself to people that have witnessed a suicide that was perpetrated by a nameless evil entity. The film had the opportunity to disturb the audience and build a genuine sense of discomfort as we experience the declining mental health of Rose, but instead it opposite underwhelmed those disturbing elements by surrounding them with a more traditional schlocky horror element that belong in something like The Conjuring or Ouija, which truly brings down the film from the elevated piece of horror it could be to a somewhat messy, beautiful looking film that sacrifices its own integrity in order to accommodate the attention of a more mainstream horror audience, leaving us with a cut of a film that has a better film hidden inside of it. That being said, the film looks absolutely stunning. The cinematography is a strong saving grace. Beautiful soft lighting and extremely natural setups keep the film from looking too much like contemporary horror that typically finds an excuse to shroud the frame in darkness in order to inject the fear of the unknown. Smile doesn't really need that. The entity itself is interesting enough that having it just stood in the frame under natural sunlight is enough for it to be unsettling. That philosophy doesn't stick around for the entire film, however. While the first hour or so of its runtime was a beautiful piece of tension building with some nice, slow, and methodical scares, it fails to maintain that steam and quickly degrades into loud noise jump scares that cheapen the experience. And while the film is really well sound designed, a lot of that sound design exists to accommodate those uninteresting scares. I left the theater feeling impressed but really unsatisfied. There are visual motifs that are worthy of higher quality films like Men or It Follows, but they're surrounded by formulaic tropes, annoying one-dimensional characters, and a story that could have been told in an hour rather than the almost 2-hour runtime that the film carries. It's a great concept, but the execution was too derivative and generic for me to consider Smile a film that'll stand the test of time, especially when it's been released in a year full of phenomenally executed and disturbing horror films. Smile had something to say, and I truly respect it. Thematically, the film does a great job at stating its thesis of trauma begetting trauma, but again, it felt like the execution significantly cheapened a lot of its attempt at depth.
I'm just really scared that something bad is going to happen. Gross.
If you're new to the channel, we like to rate things on a scale from 1 to 5. 1 being an experience that is truly only enjoyed by die-hard fans of the genre, and 5 being something that you absolutely must watch, regardless of how you typically feel about its genre. Smile is a 2 out of 5. There's a lot about this film that I liked, but its shortcomings make it a truly frustrating experience. I see the great movie that could have been hidden within this cut of the film, and I wish it had taken more of those risks with its storytelling. But it is a good time, and a movie that I recommend if you want an easy horror movie to watch with friends or family on a movie night. Thank you. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and I will see you next week.